Broadcasting live on the UnitedWest.org AM radio network and simulcasting on DirecTV, iHeartRadio, Roku, and the World Wide Web, this is Enemies of the State with Tom Trenko.
I'm gonna miss that opening.
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss that opening. We're counting down the days until November 8th, 2016, 275 from today. And then the world will experience a new Western leader. But we're also counting the days down until we are no longer on the radio. WSBR, and I guess Red State Talk Radio, no longer there.
Right.
Probably should let those guys know what's going on. But yes, the rumors are true. We are vacating the 4 to 5 East Coast time slot on one of South Florida's premier radio stations. Literally, station covers millions of people from North Miami up to North Palm Beach. Very huge demographic area. Fabulously important political area in the United States of America. Very wealthy, tremendously wealthy area where our show covers. Somehow, we haven't been able to make the connection between our empty bank account and the wealthy people's full bank account. So therefore, we had to end the show. And we will not be on the air daily anymore. But we aren't drying up and going away, notwithstanding the hopes and prayers of CAIR and SPLC and all them low-life nitwits. We're going to do what we have been doing for a long time, investigative stories, work on some very significant documentaries, Extortion 17, the Enemies of the State show we've been working on, the attack on the reactor in Baghdad, 1981 documentary with General David Every. So we've got some huge projects, and for the next 2 months, we're going to be working day and night on stopping whom? What country, what terrorist country in the Islamic mold are we going to be working to stop?
Let me see.
England?
Begins with an I. Begins with an I.
Ends with an N.
No, it's not Iraq. Okay, it's not India. It's not India. It's not Indonesia. It's not not
Israel.
Not Israel. No.
It's Iran, whatever. So tomorrow, today's the 21st, 9 minutes after the hour right now. Tomorrow at 5:30 East Coast time, we're meeting on the historic corner of Broward Boulevard, right off of I-95 for you people coming from the south or the north. Head east on Broward Boulevard and travel to 3rd Street, 3 blocks west of Federal Highway. Federal Highway, US 1 is 0. 3 blocks west of that is 3rd Street. On your left, as you're traveling east, what direction would that be, gentlemen?
North.
North.
Right.
On the north side, on the northwest corner, getting fancy, is the Federal Courthouse. On the northeast corner is the very famous First Baptist Church of Fort Lauderdale. Huge 10,000 member church that does a great Christmas pageant every year. If you have not seen, I don't care if you're Jewish, if you're Chinese, if you're Christian, you got to go see the Christmas pageant at First Baptist Church. It's a Broadway production. It's absolutely amazing. They do it for about 14 days. They bring in live camels and elephants and goats and all.
Get out of here.
No, it's all live animals all over.
No, I
very,
gotta go
very
see
cool.
it then.
I've gone many times.
I'll invite our friends from CAIR to come with us.
We will be there tomorrow, the 22nd. The United West is one of the sponsors of a rally to mobilize the U.S. Congress, to put pressure on the Congress to kill the deal, destroy the deal, renegotiate from a position of strength. On your screen right now, rally, get involved. Don't watch rallies, rally at rallies. Stop Iran's nukes. Now look, the other side is saying, oh, we've done the best we can and this is going to stop it. And we're going to lay out, and this is a 2-part show, today and tomorrow, we're going to lay out the unbelievable end run that the United States President, Commander-in-Chief, did around the jurisdiction of the United States of America to become more a global partner. And their explanation, the administration, is all the other nations wanted it done this way. Who are we to say it can't happen that way?
Yeah.
What am I talking about? We'll tell you about it in a little bit. But we got a bunch of stuff going on today. Damon, tell the good folks out there in Radio Land, WSBR Radio 740 AM on your dial, Red State Talk Radio, UnitedWest.org, Tea Party community. We got something on the Tea Party that we'll tell you about too. One of our friends was threatened by Muslims yesterday in Florida. Muslims said, this is what I heard, and I've had it validated 5 or 6 different ways, and we're going to bring you the video today or tomorrow. We will kill you, they said to one of our women friend. I'll tell you that story in a little bit. But what else we got going on out there?
Got all sorts of stuff going on. Mostly all of it going to be Iran related. We have Obama's failure on the Iran deal, which we talked about last week and yesterday, and we will continue to talk about until Congress squashes this piece of garbage of a deal. And then that'll just be overridden by Obama's veto. We have Obama's failure with dealing with Islam. You have what's called a jihadography here. Jihadography. We also have Obama's failure in relation to Israel, what was once considered our greatest ally in the Middle East and is now treated like a doormat by Barry from Hawaii and Johnny from Massachusetts.
We raise the Cuban flag in Washington, and we take down the Israeli flag in Washington. Literally raise the Cuban flag, figuratively take down the Israeli flag.
Well, I'm waiting to get some of that Iranian caviar and Cuban cigars. I got my order in on Amazon already. You know.
We got to tell the good folks about that a little later on too. But as you know, we're not here just to tickle your ears and your funny bone and other parts unmentioned. We're not here just to do that. We are here to mobilize warriors. I saw a video yesterday that was a little bit frightening, and it's getting like thousands and thousands of views. Some guy sitting in his automobile, and he is got weapons all around him, and he basically says, look, I'm not one of these psychopathic conspiratorial people surrounded by guns. Then he starts putting a silencer on a 45. He goes, but I've had enough. And if you have, and here's where we're at. Our country can't protect us. Law enforcement can't protect us. Nobody can protect us from Muslims. We got to protect ourselves. Time to suit up, arm up, get ready. And if I know there's a cell, he actually said, if there's a cell in my neighborhood, I'm going to notify the authorities and I'm going after the cell. And he's screwing.
Well, I heard a story from someone trusted.
We're somewhat familiar with the FBI. I mean, they have to go, all right. Bill, it's your turn to go to that guy. Go see that guy, somebody.
I was informed of a story that the day after the attack in Chattanooga, a friend of mine locally here went into his local range, and the owners there told him that 3 or 4 Sharia-compliant looking guys came in with fully suppressed ARs the day before. Or the day after Chattanooga, the day before my friend went there.
This is a tough one. This is a tough one because the beauty of our country has been open borders. See where that's gotten us. Open our arms to people of all faiths and all kinds. Because the basic presupposition in building the United States of America was either the inherent goodness of people, that certainly people have an evil component, but for the most part people want to do good. And compounding that is those who escaped bad countries, who came here, virtually all of our relatives, ancestors, came here with the intent only to do good, so our arms were always open. It's a phenomenon of the latter half of the 20th century where people said, let's go to America and do evil, Communist Party and others. And therefore, we had to build an infrastructure, a law enforcement infrastructure, a national security infrastructure. If I can get a little more ear in my ear, that may actually work better. 2, 3, 4. Now that we got bad people in our country that want to harm us and tell us they want to do that, but they operate within the laws of the country, how do you figure out who's good and who's bad? Well, we got one guy in Florida, very interesting character, Andy Hallinan, 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 who popped up on the internet yesterday or the day before. Today's Tuesday the 21st. There's Andy on your screen right now. For all of you listening in your automobiles, go to theunitedwest.org, and you got to watch our shows because they are television shows. Andy stood in front of, what kind of flag is that again there? What kind of flag is that?
That's
Heaven
the
help
Confederate
me.
flag.
Well, that's the
Confederate flag. Heaven
the one that
help me.
ran was on top of the General Lee. There you go.
He stood in front of that and he said, look, I'm a small business owner. I own a gun shop, and I've decided to make it a Muslim-free zone. and you know, everybody coughs like that.
Yeah.
Muslim-free zone. And we've heard this a couple of places. Our friend Jan Morgan owns one and did the same thing, basically.
In Arkansas.
Yeah, and you know, everybody stepped back. Well, I saw him this morning, and we're trying to get him now to come on the show today or tomorrow. Saw him on CNN. He was being interviewed by the that's 24 karat gold dimwit Carol Costello. She may be the dopiest broad on television. Let me tell you. It's, you know, when you're in the TV business like we are, you know that in the mainstream media, the talking heads virtually do nothing. They don't really have an opinion. They couldn't formulate an opinion. If they did, it'd be a sloppy, unconstructed, weird leftist kind of vague and smoky view. So the producers and the owners of the station do everything and say, don't let these people, men or women, speak. They got a nice look. People like them. Let them read. So all the questions are written. The scripts are written. Everything's there. When they're interviewing someone, do you truly think they're standing on their own 2 feet when they got 20 things going on, Carol Costello, to have an intellectual discussion with somebody that she knows nothing about? Of course not. She reads questions. Well, what happened on CNN with this interview, she starts out the questioning. We're going to bring a video up, a Fox interview we're going to show you. Because there's another dimension to this, which is very, very important now in our big idea, which is how do you understand who are the good Muslims and who are the bad Muslims in the United States of America? Now, we've been arguing this for how many years, guys? 8, 9, 10 years, whatever?
Yep.
But only since the Islamic State's advent, which was June of 2014, where an Islamic State was declared and the beheadings began, did the intensity of the average American increased to such a degree where they said, oh, we think we got a problem with Islamic Muslim jihad, countering violent terrorism, radical Islamic something or others, whatever they are. So about a year. Now everybody's starting to get this sorted out, and in one sense, the Islamic State brought these issues to the forefront, but the issue has been to make the distinction between the violent jihadis, violent Muslims, and those who aren't violent. It's a very difficult task. Well, on CNN, this was fascinating. Carol Costello, starts out the questioning of this guy that you think's going to be this, you know, slack-jawed yokel from Alabama or
BFE
Florida,
somewhere,
as the
right.
case may be, and some dimwit who just said, I hate Muslims, and come in my store, I'm going to shoot them. You know, she thought that was going to happen. So she starts out with a written question. She says, you're standing in front of a Confederate flag. You have a Muslim-free zone. You're just being provocative, aren't you, sir? Like, yeah, that's the killer question.
Right.
And his response was,
Yeah.
yes, ma'am. I'm trying to create controversy so we can create a debate on critically important issues to our national security. And as you see, I laid out these particulars. Let the debate begin. Now, what may be your question? Right? And she's going,
Uh-oh, mind fry.
She goes, but you were standing in front of a Confederate flag.
Oh my God!
He
Yeah,
says,
no.
yes, do you have a question?
Yeah, I like the Dukes of Hazzard, too.
Right, do you have a question? And, well, how could you keep Muslims out? He said, ma'am, I'm a private business owner. I have a gun range. If a guy comes in with KKK clothes and he's a Nazi and all of this, I'm not training him how to shoot a gun in my store. So he's not allowed in my store. It's my store. I'm not training somebody I think is a danger to society. Well, how do you know if Muslims are? Well, I've studied this stuff pretty well. I've got some pretty good indicators on who are dangerous and who aren't. And
Let's say if you look like Hassan Shibly.
so, I mean, he just schooled Carol Costello.
All right.
I sent him a note real fast saying, let's get him on the show. But since this morning to now, 4:20 in the afternoon, Fox interviewed him out in Inverness. I guess that's where he is in Florida, 70 miles outside of Orlando. Let's check out this interview because CAIR, what do you think? All right, we're gonna, for the sake of our audience, part of what we do here at the United West is we get inside the heads of the enemy. CAIR is the enemy, no question. Let me ask our two folks in the control booth or behind the enclosed cage there.
Well,
let me ask them.
Us.
Yeah, you guys. Yeah.
Us guys. Okay.
When the CAIR people saw this, what their beepers, their iPhones, what happened? Walk me through how Shibly got involved.
Well, I would say Shibly saw it. Who is Shibly? Hassan Shibly, the director of CAIR for the state of Florida.
The man of the year of
he's
CAIR.
a cultural terrorist, civilizational jihadist.
Right.
And I'm sure he saw it and was loving it.
Yeah, he was.
Because to him, anything conceived as anti-Muslim, hey, violating the rights of Muslims. And he's a media whore.
Yeah.
The guy can't get enough of being on TV. So he was absolutely loving it, and he did his normal kabuki dance of making someone that wants to scrutinize Islam out to be a bad guy, just like he did with you in Venice a couple years ago.
Yep.
And he's a lawyer, too. We should say that.
Well, and that brings up the other point. And the other thing, since he is a lawyer, is what he did. He went right into lawyer mode and said, well, how can I set this guy up for a lawsuit?
Ah, yes. Tell me about that.
How can I set this guy up for a lawsuit? Well, I'm going to go in there and say, I'm a Muslim. I want to go to your gun range. All right? And the guy denies it. He's going to have a First Amendment case or whatever, or a civil rights case, and going to try to put this guy out of business.
Okay, I'm sending you the CNN piece right now because ideally, we can play him in reverse. That's okay. But yeah, that's what happened. Tom Trento here, 23 minutes after. Point we're making right now. As a result, all of this is as a result of the shooting last week in Chattanooga, which again, look, sometimes all of us here at the United West, we say, okay, there is no hope. Let's just get out of here. Let's go to some island. We'll start our own little community. We'll read a bunch of books and let the world just burn, okay? But then we wake up. We go, no, we can't do that. We've got to fight the battles. But how long did it take after we heard the name Abdul Aziz before we said,
well, that's not necessarily a Muslim name, Tom.
No, but Tom Fuentes, the former assistant director of the FBI, forget linking it to Islam. When the name first came out, he was saying that's not necessarily a Muslim name. This is a guy that is a paid analyst for CNN. That's the former assistant director of the FBI.
He really ought to hand in any badge.
He ought to give back any checks that he cashed. And certainly the FBI ought to say, dude, you cannot say that you were in any way affiliated with us.
The FBI always had this stigma of being elite, being the smartest guys in the room in law enforcement. I was training to go into those guys at one point, and that was their view. And sometimes that can get you to the point where you live in a false world where everything needs exact forensic validation 20 times over and before you can reach a conclusion. And so this guy, Fuentes, the former assistant director, goes into this. We looked at it, Muslim, AK, shooting up Marines at a recruiting base. That's textbook Dabiq. And I think Dabiq just came out with a new edition, 10th edition. Dabiq is the People magazine for the Islamic State. Whereas in People you can see about the latest actors and actresses in Hollywood, in Dabiq you can see the latest and greatest ways to behead your infidel friends.
And make a bomb in the kitchen of your mom.
Make a bomb. But it took us about a millisecond to say, you got to go into this looking at it as an Islamic Jihad attack. Well, today, the FBI released information saying, today being Tuesday the 21st, we're starting to lean toward this being an Islamic attack because we've studied recent writings of his and recent postings of his that indicate a desire for martyrdom, a desire to find out what sins are forgiven if you martyr yourself, a desire for all of this stuff. So that was the FBI report, followed immediately by what kind of follow-up report regarding Mohammed Abdul Aziz.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Well, what was the follow-up, immediate follow-up?
Well, he's
mentally
just,
disturbed.
He's mentally.
That's where I was going.
Yeah.
Is like every one of them are like tripping all over. Says, what is the cause? What is the rationale for him? Why did he do that, Carol? Why did he do that,
And here's how
Sam?
they tied it together. They said because he was drinking
DUI,
and depressed, he was
Well,
looking into martyrdom to overcome his sins that he caused in Islam.
Yeah.
And then whoever cut this together was stupid in the news report.
Yeah.
They cut to a black friend of Mohammed Abdul Aziz.
Oh, I saw that.
And they asked him a leading question. How depressed was he? And the black kid said, "It was never
he's all right.
He was always a happy guy."
Other than his mother calling him every 30 minutes to make sure he wasn't smoking dope.
So it was like, what's this depression meme? And they got to carry that through because certainly no devout Muslim would ever try to harm
because
a U.S. military
most
person.
people, because I think there's only, maybe a couple dozen people in the country on depression meds, right?
Yeah.
It's not like a billion dollar business. Probably a quarter of the people walking around the country are on some kind of antidepressant. Yet, that's what they want to blame, why this guy went full jihad.
Yeah, I know when I get depressed,
Well, yeah, right, exactly,
I know when I get depressed, I'm thinking about taking out recruitment stations.
Oh man, I'm really down today.
Oh, what can make me feel better?
Where's the closest Marine recruitment store that I can go shoot up and feel better?
No link to Islam. Listen, depression needs to be banned.
Are we the smartest person in the room, or do we just think that? I mean, it's, with this stuff.
No, it's just so
Common
idiotic.
sense.
It's just so idiotic. I mean, you go out to the man on the street. When you get depressed, do you think about shooting up?
We should do that. We are in our next iteration as the United West, moving away from a daily show. We're going to get back to the short videos we did, the investigative pieces, and a lot of man on the street videos, going out there and talking to very intelligent human beings about very serious stuff, and bringing back to you absolutely absurd and ridiculous information that has a point. We always have a point.
Yeah, like this doofus right here, Barry from Hawaii. I think it was about a month or two ago.
Let's see.
Remember that during the Crusades, people committed terrible deeds in the name of Christ, Tom.
Yes, call it
So
Reformation.
Islam is not necessarily a violent religion.
Yeah, because of that
moral
massive Muslim Reformation process that happened with the Oh, sorry, that didn't happen. Wrong religion. Sorry.
That's as crazy as saying that if a Black Panther who loves President Obama goes out and kills somebody in the name of President Obama, for the black race, I'm killing for our president, President Obama, and he goes and kills a couple of people, that President Obama needs to be blamed for that guy's actions.
Only half of him.
Only half of them, right.
But one thing you did mention earlier, I just want to bring this up.
Well, the absurdity of this, I want to make the historic fact, is that the Christian doctrine, go read the New Testament, that's where Christianity comes from, and show me where it says to go kill people in the name of Christ. Let me see if somebody could find that anyplace. I mean, that's ridiculous. Have people done that? Of course they've done that. But that's not the doctrine of Christianity. Conversely, the doctrine of Islam says go and kill the Jew, the Christian, people that bring enmity, people that bring fitna to Islam. It's a totally different world. Totally different world. Yes, what?
No, I just wanted to go back to the
Is this
gun.
camera working over here?
Yes. You want to talk to that camera?
Yeah,
you want to talk to that?
How about Jane?
You want to talk to me over there? You want to talk to me over there?
Do we have her? Because she hasn't responded.
I talked to her earlier. I'll bring her in if you want.
Yeah.
Okay. So, no, going back to what you're saying about the Muslims, the banning of Muslims in the store with Carol Costello. We have that video, by the way, and also the other ramification is also that they are people are actually going out, grabbing their guns, and guarding the National Guard, the recruitment centers. Did you hear about that? We have a video of that.
I'll tell you what. Let's hold Jane, if she can, to the next show, which we'll tape for tomorrow, and we could show these two videos, and then that is a very important story.
Yeah, I make a video of that one. So.
Very, very important, because the guy that I'm talking about that was a little over the top, we can get his video too, but I don't know. We'll look at it before we put it up. A little over the top, he's doing this because of the inability of Marines to defend themselves anymore according to the rules of engagement. The Marines cannot engage the enemy in a recruiting center if the enemy engages them.
Did you hear the brilliant what to do now, the defense mechanism?
Put a bag over their heads?
Turn the blinds down.
Oh.
I'm not joking.
There was
also not wear your uniform.
There was one of these Onion-type publications that do the parodies and everything. It was very well written. They said new orders coming down from the Marine Commandant that all Marines will wear bags over their heads and
civilian clothes,
to not look like Marines, and will be less of a target, and just this crazy stuff. But at some point, people are going to say, "What are we doing?
What are we doing here?"
So, and the lowering of the flags. I mean, this is.
He finally did it.
Finally today.
Finally did it. He bowed to the pressure. Finally,
he bowed to the pressure.
It wasn't a Saudi king. It was pressure he bowed to this time.
He did. Okay. What we're talking about is the moment any event occurs where it is in the wheelhouse of President Obama, whether it's race relations or something with a nation that's
Trayvon
victimized, Trayvon whatever. There's always a symbolic national response, either through President Obama at the lectern, through lowering of flags, through some ceremonial moment, through phone calls to the parents. He engages himself in his leftist ideologies and areas.
Beer summit.
Here, the beer summit. Here, we've got 5 American warriors shot down, and people are lowering their own flags in respect to
governors are doing
folks.
it. Yeah.
And the White House wouldn't do it. And there was pressure on Josh Earnest, the press secretary, yesterday. He goes, "Well, you got to talk to the president about that."
Yeah. We can put the White House a multicolor flag to celebrate the Supreme Court decision, but we can't lower the flag half-mast for a, just ridiculous.
Here's a cultural dilemma that we're going to show you right now. This gentleman from Inverness, Florida, who owns a gun store. And these are the kinds of cultural clashes that are going to be continually developing around America, because people are getting pissed off with Muslims asserting their Sharia-compliant viewpoints. That's just for wanting foot baths at places and extra consideration. They're pissed off about that, but they're also getting really furious about Muslim jihadis killing innocent Americans now. And we know only more of that is because Dabiq number 10 and all of Islamic Jihad requires people to get involved to do this. So this is where we're going in the world. Let's take a look at the CNN report first, and watch how this kid handles the nitwit Carol Costello.
In response to last week's shooting massacre in Chattanooga, Tennessee, where 4 Marines and a sailor were killed,
she's reading.
One Florida gun store owner declared his business a Muslim-free zone. He made the announcement on YouTube.
Now, I have a moral and legal responsibility to ensure the safety of all patriots in my community. And so, effective immediately, I'm declaring Florida gun supply as a Muslim-free zone. I will not arm and train those who wish to do harm to my fellow patriots.
Andrew Hallinan, the owner of that Florida gun supply store, joins me now. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thanks
Oh, right now she's thinking, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. He's talking. It doesn't sound like a redneck.
for being here. So you're standing in front of a Confederate flag. You're banning Muslims who read the Quran from your store. You want to be provocative. Why?
You know, the goal of the video was to offend. It was to offend as many people as I could, quite honestly, so we could start a conversation about the political correctness that has become overly extreme here in the United States, and causing loss of life that we could prevent if we if we looked at Islam for what it is.
Okay, so I'm all for a conversation, right? But you're
She is definitely perplexed now. What do I do?
What do I do
going one
now?
step farther. You're banning Muslims who follow the Quran from your store. How do you determine which Muslim who follows the Quran?
You know, it's a pretty unenforceable action, right? I mean, I can't by law ask each and every person that comes through my doors what their religious background is. But the ATF expressly gives me the right and the authority to deny service to anybody that I feel is a threat for any reason. And it happens on a weekly basis that we have people come through the gun shop that they pass their background check. They seem, but they seem a little off. And we make the determination on a case-by-case basis whether or not we're going to arm and train these people, because the last thing we want to do is have more loss of life, for any sort of tragic event.
But mostly, if their last name sounds a certain way to you, that would disqualify them.
Well, no. I mean, you can have the first name of Abdul, and we're not
Just
going
no
to
Muhammad.
but it will be done on a case-by-case basis. The broader picture here is that we want to bring light to Islam's tenets as a whole. We do believe that Islam is evil at its core, and that the Quran is built to establish a one-world order, a caliphate, and
Well,
superior. Go ahead.
I'm just saying that, just by the way you're basing on who comes in your store and is in his provided service, seems off to me. Because, for example, Elton Simpson is the name of one of the gunmen who opened fire this summer at the Prophet Muhammad cartoon contest in Garland, Texas. I'll just go down some other names for you of people who've been arrested for attempted
I freeze
terrorism.
it for a second. This is a perfect example of what I'm talking about.
Right.
This was a script. The producer wrote a script thinking it would go in one direction. Andy Hallinan, who's, by the way, a high school dropout, dropped out of high school and
Really?
got involved in guns and opened a gun store, and he
Right.
loves it. He took control. This is a great lesson in how to control the interviewer on these mainstream media
Right.
shows. He took control when he said, it was a beautiful segue. He says, well, the main issue that we need to take a look at is, and he moved the argument there, and he moves the argument to the essential evil of Islam doctrinally and their political methodology to establish a caliphate with one world order globally. So now she goes, that's not in this script, right? The next question for her was, I'm going to give you some like white-sounding American names. How are you going to ban them from your store? He's on a whole different plane, and she's lost in space somewhere. Watch this.
Yeah.
Alexander Chicolo, David Wright, Nicholas Ravinsky, Elton Simpson, as I mentioned, Hassan Edmonds, Terod Pugh, Christopher Cornell.
Islamic extremism comes in all shapes and sizes, and we're not going to be able to, just recognize it right off the bat. But if people are seeming, unnecessarily
But isn't that
nervous,
ineffective? I mean, isn't that ineffective what you're doing? It's not going to help anything. It's just going to incite things, don't you
Going
think?
back to the point of the video was, it is to get the conversation started about Islam, and that the core tenets.
See, he's going right back to his
establish
talking point.
A one world order, and do so by violent
Blows off her
acts, and that's why
question.
we're seeing such unrest in the Middle East. That's why we're seeing these jihadist terror strikes in the United States, is because their ultimate goal is to establish one world religion that's superior to any other religion, and that is the only religion that says that.
What about mass killers like Dylan Roof? He was a white supremacist. He is
No,
a
absolutely,
white
and
supremacist.
I won't arm and train
So
anybody from the KKK.
Okay, so you'll
or,
ban them too?
That guy couldn't legally purchase a gun.
Right.
Flag?
Yeah, if I have reason to believe that that the person is not buying these firearms or getting these trainings to do good in the community or to protect their homes and families from evil people, then I'm not going to sell them firearms, whether that be somebody from the KKK or somebody from, a white supremacy movement or anything like that. But we don't necessarily have to have a sign out that says no KKK.
If a white supremacist is a Christian and follows the Bible, is that the same as a Muslim who follows the Quran? Are they both the same in your book if they're intent on committing mass murder?
Yeah, so my goal is to keep guns away from anybody who's going to use these for any sort of violent actions. And I do believe that Islam at its core is violent. I'm not saying in any way, shape.
Look at her body action. Her body actions are just giving away. She's just like totally stumped. She's totally
Damon, you're a single guy. How much would it take for you to go on a date with her? Now, get away all your manly thinking things, but I mean, just to engage in...
Oh, the conversation part?
Yeah.
She is
Oh,
totally...
I was going to say, I'd take her on a date and tape her mouth shut.
She's cute.
No,
yeah.
She's not a bad-looking lady, but as soon as she opens her mouth, I just want to put something in it that's not meant to be eaten.
No, can you imagine sitting through, a dinner with 8 people around a very nice cocktail dinner and all of that, and because she's a host on CNN, you got to listen to her for 4 hours. Oh my God!
But it's great how he's just schooling her, and you look at her body language, and she knows she's getting nailed. Mm-hmm. She knows she's getting nailed left and right. This guy's a high school dropout. He shouldn't be able to take it on me, Miss CNN reporter S.
And
schooling her.
He keeps going back to the core issue that we're discussing here today. He's actually teaching on CNN.
Right.
I'll tell you what, he sounds smarter than the former assistant director of the FBI on the topic.
Absolutely. Now,
Well, you want to play the rest of it?
play the rest of it. Then we're going to go to the interim between this morning. This was 8 o'clock this morning, and then a later news report where CAIR got involved. Let's play the rest of this. Show you how CAIR got involved, then we'll show you the dilemma that's being set up and how we may be involved in the whole thing.
And we actually do have a solution for him. But,
Reform that every Muslim is violent at all. Or evil at all. The people the vast majority of Muslims are peace-loving, normal everyday Americans and people that are not out to seek the jihad.
But you do realize that the number of gun deaths in this country, there are many killers, and they way outnumber Muslim Americans who kill. Way. 190,000 since 2000, there were 37 Muslim Americans who specifically targeted people because of their political or religious beliefs.
Studies show time and time again that the more lawful firearms and the more trained people per population, the crime rate always goes down. 100% of the time. It's never been proven wrong. The perfect example was Chicago. The day after they announced concealed carry finally in Chicago, they had the lowest murder rate in the history of Chicago. And that's a really wonderful testament to lawful firearms being a deterrent to violent crime. And my goal is to make a statement.
So it wasn't because they were denying guns to Muslims who read the Quran?
So I'm not denying guns to Muslims who read the Quran. I am denying guns to Muslims who believe the Quran exactly the way it's written and wish to establish a caliphate, a one world order, and kill unbelievers for not believing. And that's my goal.
I'll leave it there. Andrew Hallinan, also interviewing with
Hey, real quick update. New news. I just got it. Florida National Guard Armory in Tallahassee receives bomb threat. Armory evacuated as precaution.
Wow.
I'm sure that has something to do with Rick Scott, our governor. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago, calling for the soldiers to be armed. So how do they get away? Okay, we can't shoot it up. We'll blow it up.
Well, I think also he moved temporarily the recruiting stations into armories. Check that out.
He took them out of shopping centers and onto actual reserve buildings that are obviously going to be a little bit harder to get into than a strip mall.
Well, thanks for breaking our nice segue there, Damon.
The bomb scare is so stupid nowadays. I mean, it's so easy to trace phone bomb scares or written bomb scares. So,
but that doesn't go into the story good enough for you, Mark?
Well, actually, the video that we had queued up, because this is the guy here in Tampa being interviewed. on our CAIR story, right, Tom?
Well, this is, this is the guy you just saw 45 minutes after, folks, Andrew Hallinan, Hallinan, owner of Florida Gun Shop, I think it's called, in Inverness up there. He declared a Muslim gun-free zone, and he just outwitted everybody by declaring a Muslim.
Right.
And he goes, look, I'm trying to be controversial to start the debate. We're starting the debate. I can't enforce what I'm saying. He actually came out and said that.
Right.
But we're having the debate. But the ATF, Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, does give latitude in the store owners to refuse selling guns to people that they have suspicions about.
Well, the guy's drinking. You think
yeah.
the guy's drinking? He says, I ain't.
Even though they passed the initial background checks. So he has that latitude. He says, I'm going to follow it. And, it's a private store. Go somewhere else and buy a gun. So that's what happened there. Now, CAIR, in their infinite wisdom, said, let's outwit this wise guy, and let's go and sign up for a gun class. We got great records. I'm a lawyer, all of this. And then let's invite him to have Islam. So that happened. And here's the report on that from a Fox affiliate in Florida. Very interesting. Watch this.
And welcome back to Good Day Tampa Bay. A Bay Area business owner has a very controversial store policy in which he announced this in this viral video. He's calling it a Muslim-free zone. This morning, though, we're learning much more about that policy. And why that's not exactly the whole story. An hour ago, the owner of this gun shop told our Alcides Segui that he's meeting with the Council on American Islamic Relations Saturday at his gun shop.
So let's get back to that shop. It's in Inverness. So Alcides, tell us why he's calling the store a Muslim-free zone, but he's decided to meet with CAIR.
I'll let you speak with Andy Hallinan to kind of clear things up. So we just showed that video a little while ago. But an hour ago on Good Day Tampa Bay, you were also talking to us about how CAIR is going to be here on Saturday for your open concealed weapons permit class. Talk to us about that meeting.
Yeah, so CAIR reached out and they called me up, and it was a wonderful conversation. He and I were both surprised that we could reach across and communicate as effectively as we did. And he's going to come up and listen to me teach about guns, and he's going to take my class. Afterwards, we're going to sit down. We're going to study the Quran a little bit together, and he's very confident that he can sway my position on what I believe that Islam is, and I'm not so sure. But I am definitely open and willing to have that type of conversation with him. And then we're going to have a community event in the next few weeks here, where we're going to invite Muslims and non-Muslims together here at Florida Gun Supply to ask open questions about Islam in a polite, respectful manner, and find out what the truth behind the matter is.
And all our guys are going to be armed.
So they're going to show up on Saturday. You guys are going to talk. He's going to take the class, and after the class, he's going to better educate you on the Quran. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, he believes that he can sway my opinion on the Quran and on Islam in general, and he believes that I'm taking the portions of the Quran that I've studied out of context. And he believes that by sitting down and having this meeting, that he'll be able to convince me otherwise. And like I said, I'm not so sure.
You're not sure that's going to happen at all.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm totally open-minded to the ideas that he's presenting, but I'm doubling down on my position. I have definitely researched and done my on Islam over the last 6 years, and I have found it to be a violent, hateful religion. And if he can convince me otherwise, I'm all the power to him.
So you're confident that this store, your shop, will continue to be a Muslim-free zone, as you call it?
At this point, I am.
Okay. The meeting after the class on Saturday, where it's going to be open dialogue, you're going to have your folks, they're going to have their folks. What do you hope to gain out of that?
At the end of
the day, what do you think is really going to happen?
At the end of the day, the video was not about going out and harming Muslims or going out and causing strife. I want to unite America. We are more racially divided. We are more socially divided, and more religiously divided than we've ever been in the country, in the history of the country. And I want to bring that back together.
Well, Andy, I got to tell you, when people watch that video, I don't think they're not going to agree with you on that. It seemed like you were dividing surrounding the country, separating Muslims from your store. But you're telling me that's not the intent of the video at all. So what was the intent?
The intent of the video was to offend as many people as I could, start the conversation about violence, religion, and theocracy, and open up and expose the truth behind this religion.
And what is the truth to you?
I believe that Islam is a violent and hateful theocracy that is designed to take over the world and kill as many non-believers as they can.
All right. Andy, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it. For more information on the story, you can go to our website, myfoxtampabay.com. Click on the Scene on TV link. By the way,
this guy's
CAIR
totally...
is asking the Department of Justice to investigate this no Muslim zone that it was created here at the Florida Gun Supply in Inverness. You're going to hear more from Andy coming up a little bit later on Good Day Tampa Bay. Back to you.
All right, I'll see this.
All right, now that's the situation. Well, what do you think? What do you guys think? It's 50 minutes after. Tom Trento, your host. Enemies of the State. Looks like we found a new friend in Andy Hallinan. They keep saying Gam. It's N-A-N. Hallinan. Hard name to pronounce. WSBR Radio, RedStateTalkRadio.com. The big idea for today is this clash of civilizations. And as the Islamic State is energizing more and more people, pick up weapons and kill soldiers and others, you're going to have more independent activities like this popping up, and we're going to have to deal with all this situation, and CAIR is going to be put on the defensive. What do you guys see?
Go ahead, King Segway.
What do you think about him?
He came back there. He's just stating his position. I mean, the position that we state all the time: Islam is a violent religion, and if he's going to bring CAIR in there to actually
do you think
that?
Do you think he planned all of this out? Like, let me make a controversial video. I know I'll get earned media.
Right.
Start the debate,
Right.
Or was he just aggravated and said,
probably combination of both.
Free advertising.
Yeah, I think a combination of both.
Certainly
probably.
free advertising. Man, he's going to have a windfall at that gun range.
Yep.
Muslim-free zone.
But I do think one point that he is missing, and this is he can deny them that they are unindicted co-conspirators in the largest terrorism funding case. Says, listen, these guys, federal
CAIR.
judges, CAIR is. Hey, listen, you guys can't know. I've looked at federal court documents and I've read the decisions by the judge, and the evidence, like Judge Soul says, is overwhelming that you guys are Muslim Brotherhood operators and spreading jihad.
Beautiful.
Spreading jihad to not in the United
there's
States.
two elements to that, but I think there's a serious play here. If they are coming as a representative group from the organization Council on American Islamic Relations, Tampa,
right.
If that's their official capacity, that should be a pretty easy argument to make. You know what? You guys got dirt on your hands, according to this Department of Justice. So you're asking them to investigate me. They've investigated you and said you're dirty. So I really don't want to train you with guns, but we can have our conversation.
When your
Islam.
spiritual leader is Yosef Qaradawi, I don't think you need to be carrying guns around.
Well, yeah, especially when your organization was founded by Musa Abu Mazurk, who is a specially designated global terrorist. It'd be about, and here's the parallel. Let's say a member of the Gambini family comes in there.
Gambino.
I made it a Gambini family comes in there and says, I want to have and he knows, he's been saying he's part of this family for years, and he's part of an organized crime organization, yet he has not been arrested, yet the federal authorities have been going after him for years. And he comes in there and he says, I want to buy a gun and I want to go take lessons at your course. And the gun owner goes, yeah, I'm a little uncomfortable with that. Maybe you might find another place. If he did not do that, he could be held responsible for selling firearms to a person who is under suspicion.
Point. But in the real world, Vinny, we got Vinny, who's the Gambini's cousin. How would that really work if the store owner said, I'm sorry, I can't train you here?
Excuse me.
Excuse me. Excuse me, Vinny.
Come over here.
What did you say? You can't train who?
I don't need no freaking training. I just came to buy a gun.
And I'm changing the buying part, so give me one of your guns right now.
You got anything that's not got no numbers on it?
I think, Andy, listen to us, Andy. Easily, you can make the case that if somebody from the Gambini family or somebody with ties to the KKK, whatever, the ATF is going to support you in your decision. Certainly, if you got a dirty organization like CAIR with its ancestors still involved in killing Jews and Christians worldwide, you can say, I'm not going to train you, I'm not giving you guns, all right? We can talk about Mohammed, all that. Now, if they say we're coming as individuals, not as CAIR representatives,
but they're
as
part
an
of
individual.
CAIR. But he's the leader of CAIR Florida. He can't disassociate himself from that. It's about the leader of the Gambini family coming in and say, hey, I'm just, Joe Gambini. I'm not part of it.
If Hassan Shibly came in as an individual, I would say you are a cultural terrorist. I'm not giving you Hassan Shibly. I'm not selling you a gun. I'm not training you. I know what you are about, and you're not getting one. I would say if anyone came into the gun store and looked like they lived a Sharia-compliant life, I'm not selling you a gun, and I'm not training you. You could be named Mahmoud Abdullah, but if you do not have a Sharia-compliant beard and you do not look like a Sharia-compliant person, then you do the background checks and it's up to the gun store individual. But if you look like a terrorist, I'm not selling you a gun. Sorry.
You want to play the flag story? Of the gun story?
Well, I want to just wrap up the Hassan Shibly deal here. Right. The question that Andy Hallinan should ask him, if he says, I'm not here in the capacity officially of CAIR, Andy, and he's probably smart enough to say this, but we'll try to reach out to him. He should say to Hassan, very simply, right now, during the time you're going to be taking the course, will you still be the leader of CAIR in Florida? Or do you somehow magically, are you going to be the leader of CAIR while you're in my store? Yes. Sorry. I'm not training you. Right. It's that simple. And go get your gun somewhere else, but I'd love to sit down
now sue me on
Mohammed. Yeah, I'd love to talk to you about Mohammed.
The government has no problem sending guns to Mexican drug cartels.
Oh, man. Hey, look, we're going to miss everybody out there in radio land, but that's life. If you can't pay the bills, you got to make some adjustments. We weren't able to pay the bill. We got to make some adjustments. So we have, 8 shows left, counting down. If you want us to interview or want us to do a special show on something in these last 8 days, send me an email, tom@theunitedwest.org, tom@theunitedwest.org, or Damon or Mark at theunitedwest.org. Not Mark.
No, not me.
Not Mark.
Well, he checks his emails every week.
Every week. Also, keep your donations, please. $25 a month we need. We're not going away. Yeah. We're going to just be doing things a bit differently and not having the radio exposure. So the flag deal, we'll bring the flag deal up. Raising the flag. No, let's update that story.
No, the flag. I was talking about the gun in front of the stores. Where
the guy standing in front of the. What does that have to do with a flag?
No, I was going somewhere else on the other thing. Okay. But the flag. The flag guy in front. The guys arming themselves, going in front of the recruitment centers. This is what it's all leading to.
Left. Show what's one guy did it. Now I'm seeing it all over the United States.
At the top and all new this hour, men with guns are standing guard in front of a Valley recruitment center. Military recruitment offices are gun-free zones. A man shot and killed 5
but not Muslim-free zones.
In Chattanooga.
And it happened at a recruitment center. Channel 5's Michael Scott tells us that these men have no plans to leave. He's in our studio with more on the story.
Oh yeah, they started standing out there today. They'll be out there on guard until the recruitment center closes for the day.
These men met here at this recruitment center in McAllen. They're roaming around the parking lot. They didn't know each other until this morning. Orlando Pettis brought his long gun with.
I'm here to protect our military because they're not allowed to protect themselves.
There are no plans to leave.
Until they are allowed to carry, I will be out here to help them understand that somebody's watching them.
Pettis.
Anyway, that's the basic story, and it's happening all throughout. People are stepping up where the government has failed.
And I think that's a good note to leave this show on. People, Americans are stepping up. Where this Obama administration, all of you people that voted for this guy in 2008, 2012, you really should be ashamed of yourself. He's destroying the United States of America. But guess what? Americans like Perez there, Orlando Perez, standing up, putting their life on the line to protect our military. Who's not allowed to have a gun when they're being hunted down by the Islamic State. See you tomorrow, everybody. Stupid.